because they clearly need a number 2 wide receiver. And so when I look at their roster and I tell you about those 8 spots, that's where I think of like, talking to Stephen Jones today, I asked him about the idea of 2 years ago making those trades, making the one for Gilmore, making the one for Cooks. And he said that they're just as active about that as they've ever been. And that it wasn't just one of those things where they made those trades because they wanted to be super aggressive. They've always had trades out there, but those ended up being positions in need. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe that's how you fill maybe wide receiver or that other corner spot is with a veteran at one of those spots, that maybe it's through a trade or something like that. I just don't see them spending a lot of money on any one position. Like $20 million a year to Osa. I think that's the most that they spend, on anybody right now in free agency.
So, John, the consensus from what you hear is that they are really all out on Flamingo. Well, Ryan Flanoy, I call him Flamingo, Jonathan Mingo, and both of the Jalen's. So the consensus are that they looked in the mirror and they realized that those guys are not that good.
I don't think that they are 100% there yet, but they know that they need more playmakers, which is pretty obvious. I mean, look at that. It's a little bit different, I guess, if you could say if the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, but you look at that Eagles offense, like the blueprint is there. That's how, when you don't have Patrick Mahomes at quarterback, that's what the weapons you have to put around at your quarterback, and that's what they have to put around Dak. They need another playmaker to put around Dak, and I didn't get the sense at all from being out there that tight end was going to be, they feel good about tight end. And so where else are your playmakers other than, so you're talking about running back, which Brian Schottenheimer, I'm sure you guys seen the quotes. It seems like he really wants someone that can catch the ball out of the backfield. And then obviously then at wide receiver. And so to me, 12 makes a lot of sense because 12, you could be getting the best receiver, or let's put it this way. It could be like CeeDee Lamb where you end up getting the best receiver, Justin Jefferson, at 12. And when typically in a lot of drafts, you'd have to have a top 5 or 6 pick to get that. So if that's who that is on their board, obviously your guy Tat, who said he does not like going by Tat, by the way, at the combine. But anyway,
really?
he had like a different nickname that he goes by. I can't remember what it was. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, because someone asked him about, because that's what everybody out there was referring to him as. But anyway, like somebody like that, big body receiver, he falls to 12, and they love him.
Matthew Golden is in the conversation, I think.
Yeah, especially with how he tested. Yeah, no. So I'm not saying that Genty can't be the guy. I'm not completely ruling out and saying they're out, but I'm just saying from when I left the combine. Also, since we're talking about us, you guys, because you guys study this stuff, what did you think about him being, I think, what was it, 5'8", 5'9"? Seemed pretty short.
I think if you watch the tape, it doesn't bother me too much. Especially so with all these runners, John, and I was just talking to somebody about Caleb Johnson. Outside zone, edge runs, he needs more of a runway. I think with Genty, he's more of a creator. So like gap schemes and duo, like him being smaller, like in that Josh Jacobs ilk, he kind of actually gets lost. So I don't think of it as an issue. I really wanted to see him run, but I will say this. Running back is the one position where the speed, I'm okay as long as the tape is really good. Like, don't get me wrong. DJ Giddens helped himself running the 4.2, whatever he ran. I mean, not 4.2, 4.5 or whatever. He tested really well. But I don't think like Bo Scatterbo, he was smart not to run because he knows he's not fast. I think that Caleb Johnson probably hurt himself by not running fast. I think Quinshon Judkins helped himself. So, I mean, it doesn't really bother me, John, the height. It doesn't bother me.
One other thing I was just going to add on the offensive line, it sounds like from last week, it sounds like they feel better about offensive tackle than I think a lot of people on the outside do. They feel like that they're going to make some changes. I feel like they're going to make some changes with the new offensive line coach, the new staff, that it's going to fit better to Terrence Steele's strengths. And they really like what they've seen in the offseason so far, especially in the weight room from Guyton. And so
come on with it.
When you say that, or when you hear things like that, then I would say, and it's tough too, because today obviously is a retirement press conference for Zack Martin, but like, you really taking a guard at 12? You know, like it just with all the holes that you need to fill, like are you really taking guard at 12? But I'm telling you, offensive line, I'm telling you, offensive line is they have not, that ship has not sailed with the Dallas Cowboys, believe me. Like I get the feeling they really still believe you need 3 potential ones on your offensive line because of what other teams spend on their defensive line. So Maybe it's not. I'm not necessarily saying it's this year, but in the next 2 years, it wouldn't be surprising.
I wouldn't care
to
in
me
the next
if
2 years.
Okay, yeah.
I encourage a lot of people to go back and watch Tyler Guyton tape on his run blocking and how he pull and how he get out in space. I think that it's moved pretty.
He moves.
fluidly.
He moves very
Yeah.
fluidly. Yes.
Yeah.
And they don't have
he's
any
stronger.
interest they don't really have. It doesn't seem like they have much interest at all in moving BB from center. And obviously Tyler
And they
Smith
shouldn't.
isn't going.
And they shouldn't.
Yes.
And Tyler Smith isn't going anywhere. So really, all you're looking at is right guard, which I know, like if they played today, I mean, you have a starting lineup. But I think that if you could upgrade that position, and then all of a sudden you have Brock who can play guard or center, because that's the thing with this Cowboys offensive line. They haven't had great depth these last few years. So if you get an offensive lineman that you really like a lot, because I could see the belief of, if you did take one at 12, you think he's Tyler Smith. And so if you put Tyler Smith at left guard and Tyler Smith at right guard, obviously your offensive line would be really, but I just feel like there's too many other holes. But
That's just no fun this year.